No, I just hit record button. Sorry.
Okay. So if my goals allow me to, eat whatever I want generally, and I don't have this idea of good food and bad food, but when I've got a goal like this where there's so much at stake, I should be able to stop and just follow the plan.
But have you done it with the Extreme Body Makeover? Did you not say you haven't done it with this program? Because I'm going to be honest, it sounds like it, I'm going to be completely blunt. It sounds like it's not really a problem. It sounds like it's, and I'm not saying that in like a, you've wasted my time or anything, but like, it's more in a, it sounds like it's the way you're putting it across. Like, you're a powerlifter, you're used to, eating a lot of food to build muscle. You're on Extreme Body Makeover and you're more disciplined. It sounds to me like it's something that you believe perhaps is a problem because it's not something that's desirable for you, but it doesn't really sound like it's a problem, like a real problem, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's maybe not a problem now in this build, when but we're going into the shred. And that's where it's going to really mess me up if I do it in the shred phase.
So break it down for me. Tell me how it happens.
Usually I will get a bit tired or something and I'll just grab a snack. A lot of it for me as well is emotional eating. I live on my own. I'm looking after my son all day. I don't talk to people. I get lonely. I get bored. I eat.
Okay. But you control yourself most of the time.
Yeah.
Explain to me how it happens then. Explain to me, like, slow the whole process right down. Like, because it sounds like if I try it on, okay, there's some kind of process that happens where it's like, because it sounds like you have these, or we all have these urges a lot, right? But for some reason you resist and you resist and you resist and you resist. And then one day you just decide, I'm done with resisting.
Yeah.
And you
pretty much. And
I'll to resist anymore.
And I'll have one brownie.
But do you really believe it when you tell yourself you'll have one brownie?
Yeah, I do. I
really?
Absolutely go.
Really? No. Wait, stop. I want you to go back to I'll have one brownie. Do you really, truly believe you'll only have one brownie? Because this is one of the parts of self-sabotage that is the most important.
Probably not. Probably not. I know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Do you know why I'm asking? Because I do it too. Like, I was talking to Laura about it the other day, and I was saying about how I was like, whenever I used to diet for the shows, like, my nemesis was peanut butter with vegan chocolate spread. And I used to get the jar out and dip the spoon into the peanut butter and then dip it into the chocolate spread.
That's good.
And I used to have this really intense craving for something sweet, like intense craving for something sweet. And I used to, push it down or distract myself or whatever. And then sometimes I would be standing in the kitchen and I would just think, fuck it, I'm just going to have some chocolate spread and peanut butter. And in my mind, I'm telling myself I'm just going to have one, but really I know I'm not going to have just one. I've given myself leeway to maybe have 3 or 4 or 5. And I kind of tell myself I'm going to stop at 5, but even though I'm telling myself I'm only going to have one, I am totally open in my mind to the fact that I might actually eat the whole fucking jar.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Isn't that so funny how we do that to ourselves?
Yeah. I don't know why. How do you stop yourself?
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? So how do you stop yourself? How did I stop myself? Quite often, honestly, I didn't. The only way that I could not do it was to not have it in the house.
Yeah.
To not have it in the house, to not have the bad foods in the house. The other thing that I did was, for me overcoming, I recognized that I was human, and actually that this was something that I absolutely and utterly loved. And so I built it into my diet.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, I'm not allowed it, I was like, I know that I'm a better person, or I know that I'm more likely to succeed in the long run if I allow myself this small indulgence. And so I built it into my diet. The other thing that I did was I would have taken out the jar and I would have taken a small amount of, if I ate it straight from the jar, I could eat the entire jar. If I scooped out a small amount and put it into a bowl, and then scooped out a small amount of the chocolate spread and put it into a bowl, then I knew I would eat that amount. But the other thing that I did, and this is a really good tip for stopping yourself doing it, which is physical. say to yourself, okay, I will allow myself to do it, but only when I've got all the data. So the other thing I used to do was I used to go to the jar of peanut butter. I used to take it out and I used to look at it and I used to go, okay, how many calories are in however many grams? And so I used to go, okay, so I used to take a spoonful and take out the scales and weigh, say 15 grams of peanut butter. And then I would look at the back of the packet and I would, or look at the back of the jar, sorry, and I would calculate exactly how many calories were in that 15 grams. And then I used to take out the chocolate spread. I used to do the same thing, weigh 15 grams of chocolate spread. And then I would have looked at the jar and I would have looked at exactly how many calories were in it. And sometimes those 15 grams, I can't even remember what I was eating, how much I was eating, 80, I want to say maybe 200, there would have been maybe 250 calories in it, maybe more. I can't even remember how many calories now. But suddenly confronted with the data, I was like,
yeah,
I know that this is 250 calories. Am I actually willing to eat it? And you know what? Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I looked at the bowl and I thought, this is 250, this is 300 calories over what I'm supposed to eat today.
Yeah.
And suddenly when you actually have the data in front of you, you just can't do it. Or I made the decision to do it, but I made the decision mindfully. The problem with self-sabotage is because we want it so badly, we ignore the data. We don't get the data. We're just like, if we just go and dive into the peanut butter and dive into the chocolate spread and ignore all the data, don't want the data, don't want to see the calories.
That's exactly what I do.
Yes. That's where you're not making a mindful choice. And so if you can, because then at the end of the day, then you can say at the end of the day, I know exactly how much I ate. I know exactly how many calories it was, and I still decided to do it anyway. But the problem is we pretend that we're not making a decision. Because we don't actually want the data and we don't want to see the consequences of our actions. We want to act without consequence. But just because you pretend the consequences don't exist doesn't mean that they don't. Like, have you ever seen a little child standing like this and going, like, let's play hide and seek, and they stand like this and they think that because they can't see you, you can't see them.
You can't see them. Yeah.
Every little kid has done it at some point. They don't understand reality. So we think that if we can't understand, I'm speaking from experience, we think that if we can't see the data, it doesn't exist. But there's something very powerful that happens in giving yourself a massive slap up the face and saying, I'm going to give myself permission to eat this brownie. But first I'm going to weigh the brownie. And then I'm going to look at the back of the brownie packet and I'm going to figure out exactly how many calories are in that brownie that I'm going to eat. And there's something about slowing down the decision-making process that completely transforms it.
Yeah, that sounds like a really, really good idea, actually, because I just whip it out the cupboard, whatever it is, and in it
Shove it
goes.
in your mouth. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because the thing about it is, because we do it so fast, because genuinely we don't want to see the data. We don't want the effects of our consequences. But if you tell yourself, if after getting all the data, I still really want this brownie, I'm going to allow myself to have it, then eat it joyfully and savor every bite. And because you've made the decision to do it. Like, I come into the office sometimes, Laura, Natalie, and the girls will tell you, I come into the office and I'm just like, I'm in a really fucking bad mood. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, can I just complain for a minute? They're like, knock yourself out. And I will sit there and bitch and whinge and complain and say, I just really feel like having a good old complain. And I just have a good old bitch and whinge about whatever it is that's bugging me. And then I go, okay, I feel better now. Thanks so much for listening. But I don't pretend that it's anything other than it is. Like, I just want to have a good suffer. I feel sorry for myself for a minute. Is that okay? And they're like, go for it. We all do it. Like Laura do it all the time. I just want to have a good suffer. I'm like, knock yourself out, pet. But it just, you really have to just be okay with the fact that you might eat the brownie, but don't pretend that it's not what it is and that the effects aren't going to happen. Does that make sense?
Absolute perfect sense, babe. Thank you so much.
And then you're less likely to go into a whole day of binge eating. And you know what? Here's the thing: open yourself up. Open yourself up to the possibility. Like, Laura, tell your story about the other week.
I'm back.
Hey,
yes.
Laura.
So,
hey, Laura.
Beth, I can totally relate to what you struggle with, because I struggled with this for like many, many years. So for anybody who doesn't know, I am 7 weeks now into a photo shoot prep, And probably around week 3 or 4, I would have said I was like really like perfect on my prep. I've been, you know, nailing my nutrition, like every principle and part that Mark Getty had sent me of my prep. I was doing it perfectly as I could. And then like boom, one day I just had a big massive wave of grief come up and smack me up the face. If you don't know, I lost my brother last year to
Oh,
cancer.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you. So if anybody knows, you know, with grief, it can just come out of nowhere and just smack you up the face. I had
Absolutely.
two panic attacks on the way to the office, in the office. And that is the great thing about our office, as Kim says, we do just let it rip and everyone is so supportive. But in that moment, because I just felt so crap, all I wanted to do was wallow. Like I just wanted to go to Tesco's, a supermarket we had here. I wanted to buy a magazine. I knew everything I wanted to eat. I wanted ice cream. I wanted like family bags of chips. I wanted cookies. The list. I knew straight away all the sugary, sweet treats that I want. Even within our company, we do have a coach that helps us. Natalie, who is on the call tonight, even messaged me to offer that I could have the coach who would have helped bring me out of this suffer. But I didn't even want to. I didn't even want the session. I just wanted to get into bed and eat and wallow. And that's what I did. Now, in the past, I would have done that on previous preps, you know, had life hit me up the face, you know, emotions, as you've shared, arise, you know, and want to eat them away. But in the past, I would have believed like something took over me and carried me to the supermarket, you know, and you know, my hands magically bought everything and then shoved it down my face. And I would have just believed it just happened to me, you know, and I had no power over it. And then I would have felt really bad about it after, beat myself up about it. And the cycle would repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Whereas with the amount of work I've done in self-sabotage with Kim, with our coach, on myself, I very much that day decided that was what I was doing. And I was going to tell Mark that was what I was doing, and be completely honest and open with him, because I recognized that I was making a decision that I wanted to do this. And it was okay. And I was going to go for it. And I wasn't going to shame myself about it. Now, I do admit that was on a Friday. My check-in was on the Saturday of Mark. I was a bit anxious still about like being honest with Mark, you know, like you know, my parents were very punishing growing up. I got shouted at a lot. I got smacked, you know, so nearly like a little, like tell my dad or something.
Yeah, right here with you.
Yeah, like Mark was going to shout at me or punish me or something. And he was just like, yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah. You know, see you on Monday. Like, no biggie. Like, and we'd already had conversations about it. They kind of made it like a safe space that I could say this, but I still had like those anxieties about it. And what was different about this time was just that I recognized that I was making a real conscious decision to do it. I recognized in that day, that's what I needed. That's what I wanted to make myself feel better. You know, Kim has always, you know, Kim has helped me so much with my emotions, because I used to bury mine. I used to bottle mine up and then they just like explode out all the time. Whereas Kim's really taught me, like, you do just have to let them flow sometimes. So I had a shit day, then I wallowed for a bit. The next day, the Saturday, up, felt better for it, for the rest, for, you know, I guess getting what I wanted in that day, drew a line under it, moved on. And here I am, you know,
you'd used it to comfort yourself, Laura. That's you know, that's what you needed that day, to comfort yourself. And I guess the moral of the story here is, and the reason why I wanted Laura to share that is because like Laura messaged me and she was like, just to let you know, didn't come into work today. I'm in bed eating Doritos and ice cream, and I'm going to stay here for the rest of the day. And I was like, are you okay? She was like, yeah, I'm fine. I was like, good for you. Stay in bed, do what you need to do. See you on Monday. You know, like there's something really magical about just not feeling that you need to hide from yourself or from anyone. And I think that this is part of the problem that we all suffer from, is that we have these, and this is a lot of what I'm going to talk about in the masterclasses, what I'm going to teach. We have this shameful part of ourselves. We have like this subconscious that we're not even aware of, that, you know, whenever we are like, I'm on a diet and I'm on a prep and I'm whatever, and then something happens, like a wave of grief hits you, and there's two things that either happen. First of all, this is how you normally comfort yourself. And if this is what you need to do to get through life, which is shitty and hard anyway, do it, but do it joyfully. Do it joyfully, do it mindfully. No, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to completely derail you. But then the other part is sometimes we have our subconscious mind, which we were not even aware of, which whenever you say I'm on a diet and I'm going to be thin and I'm going to be, like look like a bodybuilder and I'm going to get up every morning and run and I'm going to do whatever, you have this little part of yourself that goes, but what about me? I like to eat chocolate cake. And you're like, no, you're bad. Get back in your box. We're never eating chocolate cake again. And this little part's like, but we don't even realize that we've made that part of ourselves bad. And so, and as long as we continue, speaking to everybody here as well, as long as we continue to make that part of ourselves bad, we will never integrate it. And we will never, ever, ever be able to transform it because we'll keep denying it. And that which we resist persists. And so the best thing you can do is to say, you know what, God damn it, I want to eat this brownie. And actually, I think I'm probably going to give myself permission to do it. But before I do it, so that it doesn't turn into an all-out day binge, which is really just me pretending that I'm not deciding in every single moment to keep eating, I'm going to make the decision mindfully. Because here, let me just say that one more thing before I take another question. If you can slow down the first decision, which is I'm going to eat this brownie, but before I do, I'm going to weigh it. I'm going to get the calories. I'm going to get the macros. I'm going to look at all the data before I put it in my mouth. Yeah. So I know the full effect of my decision. If you slow down that first decision, then every decision after that will also be made mindfully. But whenever you make the first decision to eat the brownie and then pretend that it didn't really happen or pretend that the effects aren't what they are, you can continue to pretend that you're not deciding all day. But you're still deciding every single day. You're every single moment of the day that you eat something that's off plan, you're making decision after decision after decision after decision after decision. The problem is we're just pretending that we're not, So if you can slow down that first decision, that's what really helped with me. Then you can slow down the other decisions. But let me tell you something. See if you slip up and you still have an all day binge, forgive yourself and move on. Forgive yourself and move on. And that's probably the hardest part because we live with so much shame and so much fear, which is carried over from our childhood. But forgiving yourself really is the first step to transforming it. And I tell somebody, do like Laura did, like message like everyone in the entire company and be like, just so everybody knows, I'm having a supper and I'm eating ice cream. And like, it was so funny. I went around the company. I was like, did you know Laura's at home in bed eating ice cream and Doritos? We were all like, yeah, it's what Laura needs to do. But she wasn't hiding in bed, she was sitting there gratefully with whatever.
Having a great time.
Having a great time. Was whatever
you weren't eating Doritos and ice cream together.
I don't even know if it was Doritos.
Dipping them into each other now.
Yeah. And that's honestly the best thing that you can do, because then it becomes something that you don't need to hide anymore. And only when you're not trying to hide something and pretend that it doesn't exist can we actually start to transform it. Because until you bring something into your consciousness, it'll always plague you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, babe. Thank you. That's so helpful.
So welcome. I love the question. Thanks, Beth. Thank
you,
Beth, for letting me have a chat with you. Okay, so loads of people with their hand up. Sheila is right beside you and has her hand up. So I'm going to go to Sheila.
How do I remute myself?
Oh, I'll do it. Don't worry. I got you. Sheila, how are you?
Hello. I'm great now being here.
It's so good to see you.
Thank you. Likewise.
I didn't even look at your question, so you can there's so many now, so you can just shout it out to me.
Okay, I'll just shout it out. So I just noticed something this morning. I was on my ADHD support group. There's 5 people in our family and 4 of them have ADHD and I don't. But I'm starting to feel like I'm getting it because I just feel like I self-sabotage myself by being disorganized. And I'm like, when I was on my call, I got like all these phone calls and texts and I'm trying to answer and, help everybody. And my son's calling me from school. And I felt so frazzled and just like, how am I going to do all this stuff? And really just trying to figure out what to have for dinner is a big deal. So I realized that I'm I need to learn how to prioritize and be more organized, because there's so much stuff going on, and our household is chaotic. And so, and it's kind of like on me, because I make a list and stuff like that, but still it's so overwhelming. And then I just then I feel bad about myself because, oh, you didn't remember the whatever I was supposed to remember for, like the volleyball practice, or or what time something's starting. So I just need a method, or how do you do it? Like, just to be organized and prioritize.
It doesn't sound, Sheila, like it's a self-sabotage problem. It sounds like it's, as you said, it's just more of a missing piece of data. One of the things I always teach everybody who works for me is how to reframe failure. And everyone here will tell you about, we are massively into failure in the company. We love failure. I love failure. And I love it when people who work for me fail, because when you fail, you get information on where you have a missing resource. And so sometimes, because the feeling of, like you were just describing, having all of these things to do and all of these things to organize and all of these, people pulling you in all these different directions, because the feeling of that is so overwhelming, we sometimes think that there must be something wrong with us because it feels so overwhelming. But two things we're not recognizing is, one, life is overwhelming. And especially when you're trying to hold a lot of balls in the air, which many of us are, between our career and our family and our fitness and our, meal planning and God knows what else. And sometimes a sick relative or whatever. Life is overwhelming, and it's going to feel overwhelming. But quite often, whenever you are overwhelmed in that way, it's more that sometimes failure is not an emotional failure. Sometimes it's a physical failure, in terms of it's missing data or a missing resource. So whenever someone, for example, in the company fails, and that, I don't mean fails as in it can be anything from they forget to send an email, or they said they were going to check in every day and then they didn't check in, or it can be something bigger. Like, we've had some really big failures in the company. And so whenever someone fails, the first thing I ask is, okay, how did the failure happen? And that's not so that I can blame the person and say, God, you're bad, and how can I punish you effectively for this thing that happened? It's more, how did the failure happen? Because when it happens, then we can figure out where the missing resource is, and we can fix it. Let me give you an example. And hopefully Rachel's here. And I love this. This is one of the best thing, and she knows exactly what I'm going to say now, but I just want to ask Rachel's permission to be able to share this. And I know that she's here. Rachel is, she's officially executive assistant to our COO and director of ops, but she's kind of the everything girl in the company. Rachel does a bit of everything. Rachel's IT help and tech help and website management, everything. So anyway, Rachel, just let me know that you're happy for me to share this. I'm sure you probably will be, but just a really good example of failure was, Rachel, a couple of years ago, several years ago in the company, there was, everyone was off for Christmas, and we had, for the holiday period, and Christina had, got customer service covered by the different, girls, whatever, who work in the company over the holiday period. And whenever, I can't remember the exact details, but whenever Rachel had come in on after Christmas, she had misunderstood the assignment, which was do the live chat on the website and do the emails in customer service. So she had only been doing the live chat tickets, but she hadn't been doing the emails. So whenever she came back in after Christmas, there were 234 emails or something. Rachel saying, yes, of course, she is happy for me to share. I don't know how many there were. I don't know what the details were. There were hundreds and hundreds of emails. And Rachel was like, oh shit. She immediately thought, this is my fault. I've misunderstood. I was supposed to do all these emails, but rather than come to me or go to Christina and be like, hey, did I misunderstand? Because like there's 400 emails that I haven't responded to here. She immediately thought it was her fault and she set about fixing the problem without telling anyone. And so then I had asked her a question a few days later. I was like, oh, what's happening with this other project over here? And she was like, well, I've kind of fallen a bit behind on it. And I was like, why have you fallen behind on it? And she said, well, it was just because there were so many, and she didn't want to tell me about it. She didn't want to be honest because she didn't realize that I love failure because she was quite new with the company. And she said, oh, it's because, you know, there were just so many tickets to clear, so many emails to clear, you know, after the Christmas period. And I said, oh, but I had said, Rachel, it's really, really important that this other project is worked on. So, you know, and I said, first, actually, before I found out there was 400 emails, I said, it's really important this is worked on. Why has it not been worked on? Where's the failure? And she said, well, I have been working on it, except that there were like 400 tickets to clear, and that's taken me like a week to do. And I was like, hang on a wee second, why were there 400 tickets to clear? And she said, well, because I think that I didn't realize that over the Christmas period, I was supposed to be doing tickets, you know, live chat and emails. And I said, okay. And so she immediately thought that was her fault. And I said, why didn't you realize? And she said, I don't know. So I said, I'm trying to find the failure. Where's the failure? And so I said, who told you about doing the customer service? And she said, oh, it was Jamie, the director of ops. And so I said, okay, let me go to Jamie. So I went to Jamie. So I followed the trail back to where the communication had come down. And what we realized was Jamie just had not been clear or hadn't given a piece of data to, you know, whatever she was assigning the tasks, which meant Rachel just wasn't aware that she had to do the emails. And so I wasn't like, Jamie, you're bad and you're wrong. I was like, okay, now we realize we have this failure. How can we make sure this doesn't happen again? What processes can we put in place in the company to ensure that this failure doesn't happen, that Jamie's more clear with her communication, that, you know, maybe we have a spreadsheet, maybe we have a communication tree. So once we find the failure, we were able to figure out where the failure was so we could fix it, so we could make sure that didn't happen again. That's the most important thing you can ever do with failure. Anytime you're working towards a goal, and my goal is to build obviously a big company, to grow the company. So anytime as we grow as human beings, whether it be physically in ourselves individually or emotionally, or in a company, anytime we grow, we're going to fail. Because as we expand our capacity and as we expand our complexity as a company and as human beings, as individuals, we are going to fail because we are placing more demands on ourselves. And so rather than see that as a problem, see that as a really good thing. So anytime I find myself overwhelmed, which I do frequently, not frequently, but regularly at different points of my growth, I go, necessary next part of my growth, because the company's grown, the team has grown, we've taken on a whole new project. I decided to start riding horses again 2 years ago. I had added an entirely new level of complexity to my life by taking on a whole yard and a whole team and buying horses. So I had to struggle for a while to figure out this new system because I'd increased my complexity. But once I leaned into the discomfort and accepted the emotional pain that came as a result of the growth, I was able to break it down, slow it down, accept the failure, and keep growing and figure out a whole new system. And it simply sounds like and there could be more to it, of course, but it sounds like that's possibly what's happening to you. You're just increasing your complexity as a human being, which is wonderful. And with that comes the pain of growth. How does that sound?
That's exactly what's going on. Exactly.
Right. I love that.
And so knowing that, then I feel like I need more support. So then I can like, I was thinking maybe I need like an assistant or a house cleaner or a shopper or somebody, you know, to see, and look and see where the breakdown is, just like what you said. And then from there, pinpoint what's going to support me or alleviate that problem so that I can just expand without,
for sure.
Without, you know.
And if you don't have any additional resources, like when I was growing my company, and I had 4 homeschooled kids, and I was training for bodybuilding shows. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any additional resources. And people say to me now all the time, oh, it's all right for you because you have an assistant and you have a housekeeper and a chef and you have all these things. I didn't have all these things in the beginning. And to be honest, I could not do my life now as it is if I didn't have those things, because the complexity of it is so enormous. But in the beginning, I didn't have any of those things. So what I did I looked at my own capacity first, and I looked at, okay, how can I reorganize my life so I'm actually working to my full capacity? Because quite often we're not working to our full capacity as human beings. So that's when I became really good with time chunking and really good with like reorganizing. I'll give you a very quick example. Hopefully this is helping others as well. So what I did was I looked at all of the different tasks that I had to complete in a day, the different areas of my life. There was my kids. I had to have a good relationship with my kids. I had to make sure they were fed and, and to their activities on time or whatever. I had to have a good relationship with my husband, and I had to try to bodybuild, fit in training in the gym. And also I had to clean the house and do all that. So I literally wrote down all of the different tasks and I filed them into different columns, right? And to be completely upfront, having sex with my husband was on that list. I'm not even like, I'm just to go there. Like, it was in my relationship. What's important in my relationship with my husband? What would constitute a good and healthy relationship? What does he require in order to maintain a healthy relationship with me? And that all went on there too. And so then I looked at, okay, given these are all the things I need to fit into my week, where can I put them in? And I would have, like, in my diary, I would have time chunked things like in the morning, the kids were awake at 7 a.m., but rather than just lolling around for an hour in the morning, whatever, I had in like, okay, 7 to 8 a.m. That's when I fed the kids, emptied the dishwasher, tidied the kitchen, and I went around the house doing my general tidy up, finished at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. was like showering and doing whatever and getting everyone dressed and whatever, because we homeschooled our kids. 9 to 10 was cooking dinner. So I planned all my meals in advance, and I looked at what meals can be cooked between 9 and 10 a.m. and either prepped so they go in the oven later or put in the slow cooker for that night. And I scheduled 1 hour of my time to cook dinner, right? And it was amazing how I was able to reorganize my life. Then 10 to 11 was laundry. So I knew that nothing else was happening from 10 to 11 but laundry. And it wasn't just throwing it into the dryer or whatever. It was organizing, sorting, putting away. And it was done every day from 10 to 11. And it changed on different days depending on what they had. And I was able to schedule in date nights with my husband, time to work in my company, time to do my laundry, time to do the cleaning. I even put in when I was going to go to the supermarket and had it in the diary. And it was once I started to organize my days in my calendar with those silly little things that you would never think of putting in your bloody calendar, then I was able to organize everything in advance. I was able to say to my mom, can you come and watch the kids while I go to the gym? And I knew it would take me, 15 minutes to drive there, 15 minutes back, 45 minutes to do my workout. So I had her from say 2 to 3:30 p.m. And I knew it was on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So it was nothing was ever left to chance. Everything was prepped in advance. And that's the key to things running smoothly. We had a family party here on Sunday, and my mom said to me afterwards, she was like, I love coming to your house for parties. She goes, it just seems so effortless for you and Ryan. Like, everyone else is running around trying to organize things and look after their guests, and you kind of feel awkward. She's like, you and Ryan just sit there with a glass of champagne in the garden and everything happens. And I said, that's because we prep everything in advance. Every single tiny thing that we can think of that can be done in advance is drinks, food, preparation, organization. So when everyone gets there, we can just relax with our guests. We don't have to run around and do anything. The more you prep in advance, the easier your life becomes. And Natalie, who is my assistant at the minute, and she's only my assistant because she's learning the ropes of the company, will tell you just how organized my life is to every single tiny last detail. And that's the only way you can run your life. And that is how you can be hyper efficient in everything that you do. And it sounds like that's what you need to do first. So before you hire an assistant or before you get a cleaner or whatever, and those things are great to do, look at your own capacity first and look at where you're failing to prioritize your time. And I would work on that first. And then whenever you've done that, then you'll see where you're still breaking. And that's when you can start to look for outside help.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was
You're so welcome. Does it help?
Yes. Great.
And let me know how it goes. Okay. I want you to write in the group, tell me how it goes. And I'll see if I can find a screen grab. There is one somewhere that we've used in emails, like a screen grab of like my calendar from whatever.
Oh, I'd love to see that. That would be very helpful.
Natalie, ask Jamie for it, will you? I think it's in one of the emails that we sent out for $1 Million Mentor or Digital Marketing Blueprint. It's somewhere in there. I might have it somewhere, but anyway, someone remind me tomorrow and I'll look for it and I will post it for you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Teresa, you are next. Hi, Teresa. How you doing?
Hello. I didn't expect to get called on.
You were right there next to Sheila, so I just unmuted you.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good, thank you. So good.
Okay, so you have been helpful for these last couple of months. So I think you tackled a lot of the things I have issues with, but I get to the finish, close to the finish line, and then I just don't follow through. Like I'm almost there. And it's like, I've never had the body I truly wanted. I've always got right at the cusp of it. And then I just sabotage myself. And I don't understand. I still don't get why I do it. I'm going to look into seeing a therapist, to be honest. But like, I just don't understand why I do that to myself.
Teresa, can I tell you something?
Yes.
I do it too.
Okay.
I still do it. I do it. I have done it my entire life. And see, even being aware of it is the first step to transforming it. Because I'm telling you, you don't just do it in bodybuilding. I guarantee you do it everywhere. So let me tell you if you can relate to this, right? I realized one day when I started to build my business years ago, I realized that I never finished anything. I got to 80 to 90% of it. And then I gave up and moved on to something else. And this isn't just in business. This was if I wash the dishes, right? I get to 80% of finishing the dishes. And then my brain goes over here and I get distracted with something. And I think I'll come back and do it later. Or I get to do whenever you come home from vacation and you unpack your suitcase and there's that last little pile of stuff that needs is just more pernickety, sunglasses, belts, ibuprofen, whatever. And you leave it there and you think, I'll do it later. And you just leave it there and it sits there for 6 months until you next go on vacation and it's still there. That was me for years. And the only way to overcome it is just to stop doing it. I'm not even kidding. I realized when I was building my business, I realized that I do this all the time. And I said to myself, if I don't learn to follow through to the very end, I am never going to be successful. And I forced myself to finish the dishes completely. And I would find myself taking off the rubber gloves and going to do something else. I'd be like, no. And I would go back and I would put them on and I would finish the dishes. Start with something small. Okay. Don't start with the big thing. Start noticing where you do it ever. I've been watching a lot of TED Talks and YouTube videos and doing a lot of research for this self-sabotage. And even now I find myself getting to 80% of the video and feeling like, I've seen enough now, I can just switch it off. As I'm getting close to the end, I still have the impulse to turn the video off and just move on to the next one. And today I found myself doing it in the office. I was like, no, stop, watch to the end. And I forced myself to watch those videos to the end. So start noticing it everywhere and start building the habit.
Okay.
Because you're aware of it. And being aware of it is the first step to changing it.
Right.
But let me ask you something. Why do you do it as well? Do you know why you do it? I was just throwing it out there.
This is just me guessing. I mean, I guess I kind of sort of, we'll just throw it out there. So it's because I feel like I just started my own business. That's why I do have my own Airbnb. And so I was super proud that I actually finished it. It worked perfectly or whatever. But now I'm working on the stuff where it's little tweaks I have to make it my business run smoothly and make more profit. So anyway, I think it's because even though I tell myself, oh yeah, you can do this, I truly don't believe that I can. And right. I think, so I'm I make that I can't do it a reality.
Right. So is it that you're afraid of failure?
Yes. Terrified. Yeah. Terrified.
Do you know, I read,
I think it's also because I'm the kind of the backbone of my family. And so I can't mess up because they mess up all the time. So I always have to save them. But nobody's sorry.
No, it's good.
Nobody's going to save me. So I can't mess up. That's what I feel like majority of the time.
But have you ever thought by not finishing, you're messing up anyway?
Yes.
So the very thing that you're afraid of happening is happening already. So you have nothing to lose.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's great. It's good to get it out there. That's better out than in.
Right. And I hold a lot of stuff in too. So yeah.
What would be the worst part if you just finished everything? No. So what is it? Is it that so it's the snag list that you now need to finish? Is it to get your business off the ground? Is that what it is? To actually get the business going?
I mean, there's so many things. Like I'm a 9-to-5er still. So I want to quit my job, but then the pressure of like, okay, I have to make this business successful so I can quit my job. And then there's like, I have that shiny cat syndrome where I'm like, oh my God, there's something over there. Well, let's do this. Oh, let's do that. And I don't finish what I'm doing because all of a sudden this other shiny thing is over here that I could potentially be doing as well. And then if I stop and just relax for 2.5 seconds, I feel so guilty. So
why do you have to make your business successful? Why do you have to?
Because I want to quit my job. Because I want to quit my job.
Can you make your business successful without quitting your job? Because that seems like a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's my whole goal is to make it successful so I can quit my job. So I'm just tired of it. It's not like, I mean, it's my job not terrible, but it's just, it gives me no fulfillment, no meaning, no nothing. So I'm just ready to be done and move on to something I truly care about and passionate about. So, like, I mean, I'm doing it simultaneously right now. It's just not, I'm just like in the beginning stages. I just started in January. So it's super new and I'm already like, oh God, but I mean, I know it's just a learning process, but at the same time, it's a lot of pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself, I do. And then it's just like everything kind of crumbling down because I got to do this, 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 I got to do this. And then then I'll forget the little things that are supposed to oh, I need to do this. So I start writing lists, but then I lose my list. Don't work. So anyway, but it's just, I don't know.
It sounds like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. It sounds like as a business owner, it's fucking terrifying starting your own business. And it's the struggle, I think, that every business owner has whenever you start your own company. And then, because whenever you're an employee, yes, you have a certain amount of security in your job because that wage is coming in every single month. And you may think that you don't want it anymore, but you do want it still because you're still choosing the security. You don't want the job, but you want the security of the income. And it sounds like you want the security over here. So here you have your job and this is secure and you have your income every month and you can depend on it. And you've got your family and you're the responsible one. And there's a lot of weight of responsibility comes with that. Okay. And here you've got your Airbnb business and this is a lot more risky. Mm-hmm. But in reality, you're never going to have this security if you choose this because you can't have both. But it sounds like you haven't yet realized that you can't have both.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that?
No, I'm not running. I kind of don't. So you're saying that like I either have to have one or the other. I can't have both of them. Is that what you mean? Like I can't have the security that I crave in one. Like in my business is not secure that way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
From experience, you can't. And I remember when I first started a business years ago when I was still in employment, and I was like, oh my God, like when is the right time to give up my job? When is the right time to leave my job? Like, when is it, how much money should I be making? And should I be, and because it was so unknown for me, like it caused me so much anxiety. But the simple answer is you leave your job when your current business is sustainably bringing in enough income to cover all your bills. Okay. And you don't leave your job until that happens. So it sounds a lot like as well, what you have is you have a lack of data. It doesn't sound like it's an efficiency problem because there's a lot of things to do with the Airbnb and all the rest of it. But it does sound like it's more of a It's just more of an emotional, it's more of an emotional problem, if that makes sense. Like a misunder, or it's, so sometimes what happens is because we have this feeling, this fearful feeling that we're carrying around, we're not sure what's causing the feeling. And so therefore we make it about all of these other things over here. Like, I can't get this done. I can't get this done. I need to finish this. And I have this going on, and my family's depending on me. But really, if we slow it down, it's just, you're stepping into the unknown, and the unknown is scary. And you are in this point of, is this going to work? Is this going to make enough money? Am I even going to be able to do it? Is there going to be enough time every day? And if this does work and I finally do leave my job, am I actually going to be able to grow this into a sustainable business that's going to make me even more money and give me more security than I had previously? And that is just a lack of data. And sometimes fear is just a lack of data. And then when we get the data, the fear goes away, because like in my business, I have a certain consistency in my business now, because we have a certain amount of people in our network. We have a certain amount of, we have very consistent numbers with our launches, with our shred programs, with our, in terms of money coming in. So there's a lot of consistency in my business that I built now over the years. So I have a lot of data. So a lot of the fear of, is this going to work, isn't there anymore, because I have data over the long term. And it sounds like if you keep going and get the data and just trust yourself to know that when the time is right, you'll know. But are you the kind of person he'll jump? He'll just be like, fuck it, I'm leaving my business and I'm going to go over here and make this work. Are you an impulsive kind of person?
I am on certain things. When it comes to financial, no, I'm not at all.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's why you're anxious, because you're not this way about finances. You probably have more fear around having enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, I just feel like I just can't mess up, because I have people, and I don't have I'm not married, I don't have kids, but it's like my family, like my sisters, my mom, like they all depend on me financially. So
wow,
it's like when I like just little things, and it's like, they'll ask like, oh, and then some people like, oh, I want to borrow $20. Oh, I need $1,000. I need $2,000. And you're like, okay, like I can't be doing this for everyone all the time. And they know I'm starting a business. I know they're so, I'm so sorry to ask. I'm so sorry about this. But then it happens anyway. And it's like, because I have the means to do it, I do it. And I know I shouldn't, but I do it anyway. And I know it's enabling. I know that. But at the same time, it's like, I feel so selfish being the one that like is able to pay for this stuff or do these certain things or whatever. And I choose not to. And so it's just that, and it just, like you said, it's like, I don't finish anything, and my workouts and stuff has suffered. And I know I'll feel much better. Like I haven't been consistent with my workouts for this challenge, and I need to be, but I know that's what makes me feel better, is to get out, do my workouts, get all that stuff done, have my diet on point, and it always makes me feel better. But it's hard for me to get motivated when I'm in conference. And it just happened like this weekend. I'm in a funk for a little bit. I'll get out of it. But it just,
why do you choose not to? Why do you choose not to prioritize your workouts?
I don't even know the answer to that, to be honest. I really don't, because I have no excuse.
It's not an excuse. So an excuse presupposes that it was something that you, like, I think a lot of times we obligate ourselves to do things rather than choosing based on our values. So if I have a value of, if I have, like Natalie, for example, my assistant was telling me tonight, just whenever we get on the call, and she was like, didn't go to the gym after work, decided to go and have a sunbed instead. I was like, good for you. But in that moment, so we didn't finish, like I was doing a podcast interview. So Natalie didn't leave the office with me till like 5:45, and we had to be here at 7 this evening. So she only had like an hour and a quarter. So in that moment, she weighed up, go to the gym, and I try this on. Okay, go to the gym and I try this on. I'm going to be rushed. I'm not going to have time to eat. I'm not going to really enjoy my workout. This is how I imagine the thought process went. I'm going to, there's going to be loads of people in the gym because it's a busy time. It's after work. Is this discomfort really important to me? Or over here, I try on it's been a busy day. I can relax a bit more. I can go for a sunbed. I can get something to eat. I can be on time for the call because otherwise Kim will kill me. No, I'm joking, she won't. But so it's now I have two competing values and two things that I'm weighing up. And so I decide that this is important to me, but it's not as important as this. And so I choose this when I choose it, and I choose it joyfully, and I move on. So it's not like you need or you have an excuse, but whenever we make decisions, it's just good to really be at cause with what decision you're making. I know I should go to the gym because it's on my plan, and I've said I want to get fit and healthy, and I want to, the money was a big motivator for me, but in this moment, I don't want to go. So what am I choosing instead? And it's just about being really, really at cause with your choices. And that's the first step that you can, but anyone here can really make to transform why they don't do things. What am I choosing instead? And if you start to really be honest with yourself about what you're choosing instead, and that could be comfort. That could be, you know what? I'm tired. I'm physically tired. I'm emotionally tired. And I think probably the best thing for me right now would be to stay in bed and get an extra couple of hours rest because I feel I need it. And that's okay. And so you choose that. And then you choose the gym another day, but it's just about understanding why you're choosing what you're choosing and being okay with it. And that's the thing that starts to transform all self-sabotage, is being at cause with why you're choosing what you're choosing, and then just deciding to be totally okay with it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what are you choosing instead?
I think I'm choosing, I guess, comfort and kind of status quo. I just recently moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And I used to, when I was in my other place, I had this workout where it was like a family environment. It was like resistance training. So it's like resistance bands or whatever. And it was a family environment. It was only 30 minutes. And I went in the afternoon and the evenings or whatever. And I loved it because I loved the workouts. I loved the people. I loved everything. I don't have that here. So now I understand when because I used to train people when I was younger, and I'm like, people are like, oh, I hate to work out. I'm like, how can you hate to work out? I'm a group fitness junkie, like kickboxing, boot camps. I love all that stuff. So when I realized that I didn't find that same environment here, now I see why people say I hate to work out, because I don't enjoy it anymore. It just seems like a chore, a task, versus something I used to enjoy, and now I don't really enjoy it anymore. So now I'm just like, oh, it's like this pending dread of something that I have to do.
Well, let me ask you another question. Why would you force yourself to do something that you don't enjoy?
Because I want the end result.
But there's loads of ways to get the end result.
Yeah.
And it's far better if you can find something that you enjoy, doing to get the end result. There's many, many, many ways to make $1 million. There's many ways to, get shredded. There's many ways to build muscle. Some will be shorter, some will be longer, some will be more intense, some will be less intense, but there's many, many, many ways to get there. And if you really, really want the end result, you will find the way that works for you. But by setting yourself up for failure, by forcing yourself to do something that you really don't want to do. The only time I would ever force myself to do something that I really genuinely don't enjoy is if I was doing it for some other intrinsic value, such as I was doing it to build some kind of mental toughness, or cold plunging. I started doing cold plunges in January. The last thing I ever wanted to do on this earth was get into a bath of water that was 2 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's bloody cold.
It's freaking cold, yeah.
And it's like just above freezing. And that's what our cold plunge is. And I started doing it in the middle of, at the start of January here. And I really didn't want to do it at all, but I decided to do it because I wanted to see if I could do it. And I wanted to see if, what the benefits would be down the line. So I did it for an entirely different reason. But if you want to get fit, the worst thing you can possibly do is follow a fitness program that you don't enjoy. So I would say bin EBM. Find something you love, if you want the end result. And if you don't want the end result, maybe you just don't want it enough. I was going to read you something, and I'm going to move on to the next person shortly, but I'm going to read you something that came up in my research earlier. And I'm just going to pull it up here, which I just loved it. It said, oh, I've got so many notes in here now. Hopefully I can find it. It said, hang on, bear with me. Oh, it's gone. I don't know. I have so many bloody things open here now. Oh, here we are. Notes for self-sabotage. Here we are. It was Carl Jung, Swiss philosopher. And I really want to read it to you if I can find it. Basically, what he was saying was we would rather live in the success in our mind than risk failure in reality, which I loved. It was like loads of us and I was like, oh shit, that's me. Yeah, so basically that was it. I can't find exactly. Yeah. Oh, there it is there. Life calls for perfection. Life calls not for perfection, but for completeness. You know, and it was just amazing. And I'm going to bring a lot of Carl Jung stuff into what I'm going to be teaching. But he basically just said, yeah, like quite often we want success in our minds more than we want it in reality, because when we want it in reality, we put forth effort and we make it happen. But we think we want it until we see what it takes to have to do it, and then we realize that we actually don't want it that much. But rather than admit that we don't want it and just be okay with that and say, you know, what is it Sophia Loren said, I'd rather drink wine and eat chips than be a size 0 or something. She said it was like her, you know, it was a great quote. She was just honest about it. She said, I don't want to be a size 0 because I'm not willing to do what it takes. And a lot of times, most of us really just genuinely aren't willing to do what it takes. But the problem is we think that makes us bad and wrong when it doesn't. We're just like, not everyone was designed to be, you know, lean and skinny or whatever people's goals are.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Kim. Yeah, I do feel, I mean, I do really, yeah, you made me think about some things. So I appreciate that.
I know what it's like to have to take care of your family as well. But one thing I will say before we finish is I made peace with the fact that I love taking care of my family a long time ago. Part of the reason why I wanted to make money was so that I could take care of my family. And for a while, I took care of them a lot. And then I began to resent them for it. And then I did a lot of self-reflection, and I realized that taking care of my family brings me joy and it supports my value. And so I do it now joyfully, expecting nothing in return, because I know why I'm doing it, because doing it supports my value. But also know that you can choose to stop as well at any time. But if you continue to do it because do it because you recognize you do it because you enjoy doing it.
Yeah, and that is the reason why I do it. And I just want to get to the point where I'm making enough where it won't impact I won't even feel it anymore, that sort of thing. So
yeah, that'll never happen. Just as the gifts just get bigger. The gifts just get bigger. Again, speaking from experience.
All right. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Carrie, I'm going to you next. Carrie Montoya. How you doing, Carrie? And then Tammy Green, I'm going to you next. And then Les, I'm going to you after.
So I'm going to try to not cry.
Crying, get it out. That's what I say. Better out than in, for God's sake.
I hate crying in front of people.
I used to hate crying in front of people too, and now I just blub all the time.
So see, I posted in the group today. Phase 3 scares me because I don't think I can do it on the physical side, not the food side. Mm-hmm. Now there's a lot of, there's a lot going into this. One, this past week, I haven't been able to sleep well. And I figured out what that was though. And 2, on Monday is my first anniversary without my husband. So I've got that coming up. But with the program, I tried doing the 20-day abs program on top of BBM and I couldn't do it. And no matter how much I tried, I just couldn't get past, I couldn't do it. And I look at the physical part of the program, and I'm really scared that I'm not going to be able to do it.
What would be the worst thing if you can't do it? Why would that be so bad?
Because I've got to get myself in shape for health reasons. And I've tried so many other things, and they've been unsuccessful. I'm diabetic, and I have other issues, you know, but if I don't find something where I can get myself healthy, then I'm not going to be here very much longer, you know, in the world. So it's something that I have to do. Well, I mean, I think that every time I try anything, but it doesn't change. Just because other things didn't work doesn't mean that I don't need them to work.
So I'm going to ask you a weird question, okay?
Yep.
What if that so let's say if you don't do it, you're going to die. I think that's what you're saying. Is that what you're saying? Let's just be completely upfront.
Slow process, but yep.
If I don't do it, I'm going to die. I still don't understand how that means you have to.
Well, I don't consider dying an option.
Why not?
Because I've got too many people relying on me, and I haven't gotten my life in order for them to be able to take care of it after I'm gone. I don't want to leave that for them.
But how is that not still a choice? So what you're saying to me is, what I'm trying to help you see is, whenever someone says, I have to, like, you know what it's like when someone says, no, you have to. Like, you're like, oh, like, what does that feel like whenever someone says you have to do something? Well, with me, I'm defined. I'm like, well, fuck you. No, I don't have to, actually. Like, that's the minute I'm told I have to, my inner child comes up and I go, no, I don't. I don't have to do anything. So whenever you say to me, I have to.
Right. Well, I want to. I mean, obviously, if I die.
No. Stay with me.
All
So
right.
every time I hear, so anytime someone says I have to or I must, it means it's a rule. It's a rule I've created for myself. Okay. And rules are either based on ethics or they're based on fear. So whenever a rule is based on an ethic, it means that there's no fear underneath it. So a rule based on an ethic would be, I stop at traffic lights when they're red, not because I have to, because I'm scared a police officer is going to catch me if I don't, but because stopping at a red traffic light means that it keeps other road users safe. And it's not that I have to obey the rules or I'm scared if I don't. I obey the rules because it makes sense for me to obey the rules. Does that make sense? So that's a rule based on an ethic. Or a rule based on an ethic is also, I don't lie. And I don't steal. So me personally, speaking from experience, I don't steal ever. Okay. And when I say, and it's not that I just don't steal when someone isn't looking, I don't steal ever. Like if I go into a restaurant and they forget to put a cup of coffee on my bill, or they forget to put a bottle of wine on my bill or a cocktail on my bill, when I check the bill, I will call the waiter over and say, you forgot to put the cocktail on my bill, because I want to pay for that cocktail because I understand the value. Whereas a lot of people will say, no, I would never steal. And then they go to a restaurant, the waiter forgets to put the cocktail on the bill and they go, oh, great, got a free cocktail. But that's stealing. So I have an ethic that I don't steal because I recognize why stealing is bad. Many people have a rule around not stealing because they were punished for it as a child. So they say stealing is bad, but if they got the opportunity to steal, if they were given something, or somebody, or people say, I would never steal anything. And then whenever they're at a hotel, a towel or a washcloth or a dressing gown makes it into their suitcase. Or, they would steal if they have the opportunity to, or they think there's going to be no consequence. So it's not an ethic, it's a rule. Okay. It may also be an ethic sometimes, but it's a rule. So whenever someone says to me, I have to, what that usually points to is a rule. And underneath a rule is fear. And when we're governed by fear, we are very rarely acting with our best intentions at heart. So my question is, what if you just chose not to? Just like, fuck it. I don't really care about getting fit. I'm happy. I like eating food. And I don't really enjoy exercising.
But I'm not happy like this. When I'm not fit, my brain doesn't work right. I can't even think to answer a question.
So why are you choosing it?
Because I want to be able to enjoy my life.
No, I mean, why are you choosing to stay? Why have you chosen to stay the way you are? Because it has been a choice.
Because of what?
It has been a choice. Being overweight or being not in our best health is a series of choices we've made throughout our lives. And by the way, I'm not judging you here.
No,
there's no judgment in any way.
I don't have the answer for that, because I have tried multiple times. I mean, not like I was on a medically induced, medically supervised diet of 800 calories a day and went to a PT 3 times a week, and that didn't work. And I did that for 6 months. I did lose weight once through MetaFast, another program that is a low carb meal replacement deal. I lost a lot of weight and a lot of my problems went away. Then I had to have long-term steroids for an injury, which shot my blood sugar up again, and I gained weight really, really fast, like within 2 to 3 months. And I tried to go back onto the MetaFast and it didn't work. I don't know. I haven't found what works. Now, I'm not saying there are long periods of time in between my trying that I don't try. Yeah, there are, but.
Okay. Why are there long periods of time in between that you don't try? Let's talk to that Carrie. I don't want to talk to the Carrie who wants to lose weight and has to lose weight. Yeah. I want to talk to that Carrie.
Because
tell me about that, Carrie.
In those periods of time, trying takes mental effort. And when you don't see any results, even with extended effort, you give up, or I give up. And so sometimes it's just easier. Obviously, it's easier to not try. So it's a matter of finding something that I believe has a chance of working.
So it sounds like comfort is a high value of yours, and being pain-free is a value of yours. Because here's the thing. Although you have a certain amount of pain in your life right now, the pain of getting fit and be dieting and eating 800 calories, like I tried that on when you were saying it, I was like, 800 calories? I eat 800 calories for breakfast. Like, I think I would quite possibly die on 800 calories. Well, I wouldn't, but I feel like I would. And so I tried on the pain of the getting fit and then going to the gym and the cardio and the 800 calories. And I'm like, oh, like that just feels like too much like hard work, right? So what you're coming up against is you have the pain of the moment, which is painful, but not that painful. And you have the pain of the future, which is I might die and leave my family and all of that. But unfortunately, pain in the future is never really a big enough motivator to motivate us to act now. Mm-hmm. And so the problem is what you're coming up against is you have the Carrie who just wants to be comfortable and live a nice pain-free life. And then you have the Carrie who wants to be pain-free in the future, but that pain isn't enough to motivate you right now. But I think part of the problem is, like, is there anything wrong with wanting to be comfortable?
No, but I'm not comfortable.
What if you are?
But when I'm not doing anything, I'm still not comfortable.
Well, here's the thing. Do you know what motivates human beings? What? Human beings only change when change is easier than not changing.
Right.
So what motivates human beings to act is the easiest path. Human beings always choose the path of least resistance, because resistance is painful for humans. So although you may think that you don't like it, and this is what you have to really understand and get okay with, Carrie, to move forward. You might think that you don't want it, but it's staying the same is easier for you than changing. And you know how I know? And I know that this is hard to hear, so I really just want you to know I'm saying it with love, but change is easier. Human beings only change when change is easier than not changing. So at the minute, although you're telling yourself, or you want to believe that you're unhappy with your situation, and you might be unhappy with your situation, I'm not saying you're not, it's still easier for you than changing. Because if it weren't, you would change.
Well, I am working on changing.
You are, but let me ask you a question. Because you're so resistant to that, because we're all resistant to things like that. But it leads me to believe that in some way you think that what you're doing is wrong or bad, that it's bad to not change, or bad to be where you are right now. Do you believe that it is?
Yeah, I do, because being unhealthy affects more than just myself. It affects my job performance. It affects my ability to earn money and sustain my lifestyle. It affects my children and people that I love. So staying like I am is selfish and therefore bad.
What's wrong with selfish?
Depending on the meaning of selfish. Selfish to the exclusion of the people that you love. That's not right.
That isn't what you said. What's wrong? What's wrong with being selfish? What's wrong with prioritizing you over anybody else?
Well, I do believe in putting others first. I do understand that you still have to prioritize yourself, like letting things go. You know, my house might be messier because I need more time to do this. I understand with prioritizing things that I need.
Carrie, what if I'm going to interrupt you because we're short on time. What if prioritizing others is prioritizing yourself?
I don't understand what you mean.
Well, how does it feel when you prioritize others, when you give to them, take care of them, all of those things you talked about?
I am actually a
how does it feel?
Apathetic person.
How does it feel?
Does it
feel good or does it feel bad?
It doesn't either way. I mean,
No.
I mean, I understand that helping other people can give you a self high.
Human beings are self-serving.
Yeah.
We're self-serving. We do things even if it's for others because it makes us feel good. But you're resistant because you know where I'm leading you. And the only reason this is good, by the way, you're resistant because what I'm asking you to do is look at your definition of selfish. Because what I'm showing you is that even by prioritizing others, you actually are being selfish. We're selfish by nature, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's a self-preservation instinct that's going to be there regardless.
Of course. If human beings weren't selfish and we didn't prioritize our own emotional and physical needs first, we would die. That's why as little kids, have you ever seen a little kid and like their mom picks up the phone and your kids are quiet? I don't know if you have kids or not, but I know what used to happen. My kids would be playing or whatever. My phone would ring and I'd be like, oh, and I'd pick up the phone and I would say, hello. And the next thing, mommy. And they're clamoring and they're making, you're like, I literally, the minute I pick up the phone, these little bastards start making noise. And you know why? Because they have a primal instinct in them. Whenever I learned this, it changed my life. Because in the jungle, in primitive times, the child who lost their parents' attention got eaten by the tiger. So as soon as your mom's focus is not on you anymore and it's diverted to somewhere else, you are now at risk. And so children are, so that as soon as the parents' attention is diverted, children's like inbuilt safety mechanism comes up and they start to panic. So they have to get the parents' attention back on them. And so as human beings, we're inherently selfish. We have to be in order to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So what if it doesn't matter if you're prioritizing others or you're prioritizing yourself? What if you're always prioritizing yourself? But the problem is we lie to ourselves when we're prioritizing others. And we say, no, I'm putting my family first. We're never putting our family first. We're putting our family first because putting our family first makes us feel good about us.
But how does that apply to being afraid of failure with phase 3?
Well, I don't know. How do you think?
I don't know.
Well, what would be the worst thing if you just prioritized yourself in phase 3 and said, you know what, guys, whatever happens, I'm going to figure this out. I might not be able to do all the cardio. I might not even be able to meal plan. I might not even make it to the gym every day, but I'm worth it to give it my best shot.
I plan on doing that.
What would be the worst part?
I don't plan on giving up. I plan on keeping going, even though I'm afraid. But I am very afraid.
Are you still very afraid, even after what we talked about?
Yeah.
So what's the worst thing that can happen?
I'm afraid of failing again. I don't want to fail again.
But honey, you're already failing.
I don't want to.
Carrie, you're already failing.
I know.
So
I want to stop that.
So what are you scared of? There's nothing that can happen but success.
I'm scared that it won't work.
The only way we can fail is if we choose to give up. Yeah. So it sounds like you're not afraid of failing. You're afraid of choosing to give up again.
I'm not going to give up.
Well, you might give up.
Huh?
You might give up.
No, I won't give up. Tenacity is one of my strengths.
So what are you afraid of then? If you're not going to give up?
That I won't be able to physically make the change.
You might not.
Even I know, and that's what scares me.
But you will be able to make a change.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you want to be able to do it, all of it perfectly, every single part.
No, just enough to be effective.
Perfect. Then do enough to be effective. Is there another but?
I'm still scared.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You're scared because, well, why are you scared? I don't understand why you're scared. You've done 800 calories. You've done loads of diets. Because you are going to fail. We've established you're going to fail, right? Every single person here, by the way, I see if everyone here is an EBM and you're going into phase 3, every single one of you is going to fail. And you're not just going to fail once, you're going to fail hundreds of times in the next 12 weeks. Everybody give me a yes if you understand that. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So we've established that failure is going to happen hundreds of times in the next 12 weeks. Why is that bad?
I'm not afraid of the food, the nutrition. I can follow your nutrition plan. That's not a problem. But I don't think that I can follow the physical side, the training side.
So don't.
I don't think that I'm physically able to do it.
So don't do it. Do the food. Would there be anything wrong if you just chose not to do it?
I don't want to choose not to do it.
Great. You have my permission.
I want to do it. I just don't know how. I don't know how I can.
Don't. I'm not even kidding. I'm not being facetious. Don't do it. Do the food. Maybe walk 15 minutes a day. Can you walk?
Yeah, no, I can do what we're doing now. You know, the phase that we're doing now, I can do that. But the supersets and the jumping and the
don't do
it. But I want to be able to do that kind of stuff.
But when you can, you will. But at the minute you can't. That's your first failure. Is there anything wrong with that?
Yeah, you feel insufficient when you can't do things. Or I feel insufficient when there's things that I can't do.
So you don't want to be limited? You don't want to be human?
Not to this extent.
Carrie, I have some really good news for you. It's impossible to live a life without limitations.
I know.
Some of us have more limitations than others. But we just work. The only way to be successful is to recognize your limitations and work within them. Denying that you have them and sabotaging yourself from finishing or even starting because of some perceived limitation is how you get to remain exactly where you are. It's how you choose to stay exactly where you are. We're all limited.
And in
Don't
different
use
ways.
it as an excuse to not go forth and achieve your goals.
I get that as well, that everybody has their own frailties.
We do.
And they're not the same. I understand that.
Do you know how I got up from my desk all day today? Every time I stood up, I was like this. I stood up, I was like, oh. And all the girls were looking at me like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, hang on. Oh. I was like walking across like this, across. I'm not even kidding, because I have such a pain in my back at the minute. And I do not know why I do, because I fell skiing and I've really put my back out. And but I haven't chosen to put the time into making it better. So I can't expect it to be any different than it is, because I haven't put any work into changing it. I can't say, oh, fucking this goddamn back is stopping me from doing all of these things that I want to do. That may be true, and it is in some respects, but it's also, I haven't chosen to fix the problem. So I can't pretend that, I can't be annoyed at the limitation or pretend that it doesn't exist. And there's just some things that I just can't do because I've had a bad back for years. I don't get angry that I can't deadlift. I just don't deadlift. I do something else instead. I don't get angry that I can't barbell back squat. I just do a different type of squat. Successful people work around their limitations. They don't use them as an excuse to stop.
Right. Speaking of, does a knee brace help your hands with hamstring pulls?
A knee brace? No, a knee brace is more for squatting if you're going up and down.
Okay.
Just to support the knees a bit more.
Is there anything to help with preventing the hamstrings from?
Don't do hamstring. Don't do the exercises that aggravate it.
Okay.
I just want to say to my team before I go on to the next person, if you guys need to go, don't feel you have to stay, because so many of the team are on here. So if you're like, I have shit to do and she's gone on for ages, like it's
sorry.
No, it's my choice. No, you have nothing to apologize for. I've chosen to because I've been enjoying this so much, I've chosen to stay on, but I just want to let my team know that they can, anyone can hop off anytime they want. Do you feel slightly better, or have I just made you feel worse?
No, I feel slightly better. Getting it out, and
yeah,
successful people find ways around things.
Yeah, the most successful people recognize what their limitations are and find a way around them.
Yeah,
they certainly don't not have limitations.
Right. Yes.
Carrie, I'm sending you my love. You're going to be amazing in phase 3. Leave out all the jumping. I don't jump. Blame Laura. She wrote that fucking program. If I'd written it, there'd be no jumping in there at all. Just so you know. And truly, if I was doing it, I wouldn't be doing any jumping. I would do extra cardio every day. That's what I would do.
You're the person in the instructional videos, so I don't know how that happened.
Yeah. Laura, I should blame you there.
So just because I wasn't able
shining
to
a light on my limitations. I know.
To finish your ab program, I will finish it eventually.
Who cares about the ab program? About 2 years and a few years, you'll be grand. long as you never give up, you will get there eventually. Okay, Tammy, Carrie, thank you so much for being so vulnerable.
Thank you. Thank you for being up with it.
Tammy, how you doing?
Hi, Kim. Thank you so much. This has been really super inspirational, and also just like I love listening to the different perspective. I mean, this is like self-sabotage is my world, and so like always it is. I do coaching as well, and so I do a lot of tapping, but listening to you today again, it's a different perspective, and it's been really enlightening. So thank you so much for doing this for everybody. My question is, how do you stop the serial shredding sabotage? I mean, I know it's good for your ROI, but
yes. Are you talking from a personal perspective?
I've done numerous shreds since or competitions since like probably 2019 when I first heard of you. And it's like every time I get great results, you know, I do the program, I get great results. I love the finish line. And then I don't know, I just fall off the wagon until the next one. And then and each one seems to get worse and worse and worse. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the weird thing is that I love the gym. Mm-hmm. I love lifting weights. I take 2 hours out of my day to go do it. But for whatever reason, and my ideal body weight is 24%. And that's where I was at the end of the ultimate shred. I loved how I look, and went right back up to 31%.
Why do you do the shreds? Tell me.
Yeah. Why do I do them?
Yeah. What are you going for?
Consistency. Yeah. I want us in sustainability. I want to make this a very, it's part of my life. It's part of my world. I think and feel that my I guess my issue, my devil, whatever, is I live in wine country and I work in the wine industry. So, but I also feel like when I say that, it's an excuse.
But whenever you say so, but what is it that you said you're hoping for consistency with the shreds, but every time you do a shred, if I try you on, every time you do a shred, you must be going for something at the end of it. What is that thing that you're going for?
The results, the look, the 24%, because then, for whatever reason, I end up going back up to 30 or 31%. So then I do the shred to get back down to 24.
Why do you choose to go back up to 31?
That, my friend, is the $1 million question.
Let's answer it. Why do you, is it a case of I want it? Because it sounds like 31% is sustainable for you, but it sounds like 24% possibly isn't.
That is accurate.
Because let me tell you, it's not, it's like 20, like I would love to maintain about a 14% body fat all year round, but consistently, whenever I was doing a lot of cardio every day, I was maintaining about a 16% body fat, whereas I gave up all cardio in January because I've gone back into a build. And I'm laughing every day because I'm watching Laura get leaner and leaner every day. And it's like, oh, now I understand what it used to be like when I dieted around people, because I'm like, I have to fight the urge every day to go on a shred because you see it and you're like, oh, I want it too, because she looks so amazing. And, but I have to accept that with my current goal of building and my current lifestyle of, with work and different things I have going on and the new company we're launching in September, I just don't want to get up in the morning and do an hour's cardio because it's not conducive to my goals. So honestly, I just don't want to have to do what it takes to maintain a 14 to 16% body fat all year round. I just don't want to. And I could use all the excuses under the sun. And I actually was almost about to there, like, oh, we've got the new company launching and I've got all of these limitations and all of these things happening. But really, genuinely, if I'm just honest, I like bed. I don't want to get up in the morning and I don't want to have to work any harder than I'm working at the minute because I've worked hard for a long time and now I'm just enjoying not working so hard.
Yeah.
But that's not a problem for me. I'm okay with it. I've made peace with it. except when I see Laura. We try to keep her out of the office now because
Right.
I'm only joking. So what is it for you? Like, why are you choosing not to?
I think that's probably pretty spot on, actually. Because I get, I lay in bed in the morning and it's like, I'm awake at 5:30, but I refuse to get out of bed until, 6 or 6:30 because
It's
I'm
comfortable.
comfortable. Yeah. And
Warm.
it's like, God, I love going and lifting, but the thought of cardio is like, ugh. Oof. So, yeah, same thing with the wine. It's like, I know if I didn't drink at all, then, maybe I wouldn't have to do cardio. But if I'm going to drink wine, well, then, you know what? Something's got to give.
1,000
So,
calories.
yeah, exactly right.
It honestly, you know what? It sometimes it's really just a case of I want it. And I think that's probably why the shreds work for you and why you like them, because you've set yourself a goal at the end of it and you're maintaining that goal and you're working towards a goal. But then after the shred, you find yourself goalless, which is why bodybuilding competitions are so good for people and keeping people accountable, because you diet for your show. And then after your show, I was always immediately looking forward to the next competition. And so I was like, okay, it's June. I've got till January when I'm starting dieting again. I've got 6 months or 8 months or whatever, however this was, apart, to build more glutes, to build better arms, to build, like, I had very specific goals of what I was working on. And so that I would have then built my plan around that. And as I put on more body fat and as I ate more calories and you just accepted it as part of the process, because you knew you were only doing it till January when you were back on your shred again. And then you got to uncover everything that you'd built and see how big were your glutes, how big were your quads, how much muscle, how much, how close to your goal were you? So Mark will always say that a bodybuilder is never off prep. Prep isn't, your diet isn't just the stage before the show. You're on prep all year because you're constantly going from show to show to show to show to show. Right. And it sounds like if you just need clearer goals for yourself, and being 24% body fat isn't enough to motivate you.
You're right. And I could have told you that 3 minutes ago when you started talking. I was like, that's it. It's like, we always get that one thing when somebody says something and it's like, oh, that's exactly nailed it.
Let me ask you one more question. Is there anything wrong with not wanting it enough? And there may not be, but I'm just checking.
No.
Do you have like a feeling of, oh shit, but if I don't have it, like, this thing will happen, or it'll mean something about me, or?
No, I'm pretty good with self-care and my own boundaries and things like that. But it comes down to the goals. It really, really does. Because that's like, I felt that in my body when you said it. And I know where that's coming from, because it stems from a whole other stuff with business goals. So yeah, wow, that's cool. Good job.
Good job you. That's phenomenal. I had to make peace last year with giving up a lot of muscle. Like because I added the horses, I haven't ridden horses in 20 years. Now anyone who follows me will know I'm back into my horses again, and I'm riding very competitively. And my mom has a horse. She has stables at her house, and I built this beautiful big yard and bought a massive big horse truck. And, we compete every weekend now, and adding in that whole layer of complexity of trying to get myself back up to international level with the horses just meant that, like, my training, I had to sacrifice something else. And unfortunately, what I said, I still trained, but I wasn't training with Mark. I wasn't training as consistently. I wasn't training as heavy. And I could see my muscle getting less and less and less and less. And my clothes were getting looser on me. And, and I realized I was losing muscle. And I was like, oh, but I don't want to lose the muscle. And I was like constantly having this internal battle with, I'm going to go back to the gym. I'm going to go back to Mark. And then I'd be like, but if you do that, then you have to give up this. And I was like, but I don't want to give up this because this is so important to me. And I really just had to sit down and have a conversation with myself and say, what is important to me? And what am I willing to sacrifice the muscle to have this other thing over here, which is really super important to me? And I think sometimes, just for everybody here, whenever we're really clear on our values, and I just don't mean values in terms of, bodybuilding values or body goal values. I mean, in terms of, I always break down my entire life into the different areas of what's important to me. And the only things that are important to me in my life are well, the most important things are my family, my relationship with my kids, my relationship with my husband, my business, and now my horses. These are the 4 areas in my life that are important to me. And so I am very clear at any time as to which of those, what I'm choosing with each of those things and what I'm sacrificing. So my youngest son has put on quite a lot of weight through leading a more sedentary lifestyle than the other ones. And so I took this on as a project to let's get Jack fit for his health and for, you know, whatever else. And so anyway, I sat down with him and we had a long conversation and set some goals and decided what he wanted for himself. And now I'm taking him to the gym in Lisburn, which is 30 minutes from here, 30 minutes back, 3 times a week in the afternoon, maybe 4, depending on what he's going to be doing. Now, I already go to the gym in the morning with my other 2 boys who decided they want to bodybuild, not every morning. So, and I'm now having to sacrifice. Like last week I was at the gym, like 3 times I was at the gym, an hour traveling plus time there with my kids twice a week. And because of that, other things sacrificed. I had to sacrifice other things with work. I had to get up earlier. I had to sacrifice meetings with the girls. And so at any one time, I'm always choosing something. And sometimes the kids go up and the business goes down. And sometimes the horses go up. And my relationship with Ryan goes down. And sometimes the relationship with Ryan goes up and that goes down. Everything just goes up and down like a seesaw.
Right.
And and I guess I'm not just directing this at you, Tammy, but whenever we're so clear on what we're choosing and why we're choosing it and what we're sacrificing when we're choosing it, the decisions become so much easier.
Yes.
And then you just say, well, I would love to be 24% body fat, but I'm just not willing to do what it takes.
Yeah.
That's okay. Because wine's more important to me. And I get it. Like, my life is stressful and I enjoy a glass of wine to relax. And people say, well, you shouldn't because alcohol is bad for you. And you say, well, yeah, you're probably right. Shouldn't. But right. I do. And it helps. And until I decide I'm not going to, I'm going to continue.
Yeah. Good point. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No,
I really do.
Loving. Okay, I'm going to take one more. Tammy, thank you so much for your time. Letty, I'm coming to you next. My phone's going mad with millions of messages.
Hi, Kim.
Nothing.
Hi, Laura.
Good. Hi, how are you?
Good. Hello, everybody. Well, thank you so much for doing this, first of all. And this is my thing, the mindset, okay? I love to push myself. I need to push myself harder. And talking about sabotage, what you have been talking about is helping me a lot already because it has to do with failure. And I do see challenges and failure as opportunities to grow. But what has happened to me is that the last time that I fell off the wagon and I sabotaged myself, I did it consciously for about almost 6 months. And I had been watching my sabotage, my behavior. And first it was like unconsciously. I didn't know that I was doing it. Then I became aware of it and I started tracking my behavior. And I said, okay, I do this. So I'm going to plan how to attack this Letty, right? To curb the cravings. I use like signs, quotes like willpower is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets, things like that. And everything helped. I began controlling myself so much and I was super happy. But then some things happened around the time for the Ultimate 12. I wanted to do it. Okay, backing up a little bit, I had been going through 4 years of a lot of challenges, but I've been able to overcome them. And I have been feeling stronger, etc. So when this happened, that the Ultimate 12, I couldn't get it started because I really didn't have the time. It was a lot. I felt so frustrated. I was doing the eating part, but I was not doing the workouts. So I think that that I felt like a failure and
Why did you feel frustrated?
I
What
was
the frustration?
that I couldn't do it, and I wanted to do it because I wanted to go to the next level for me. I've never been like a gym person. I run, and I did during the summer the Menno Shred, and that, wow, I loved it. I loved it, but I wanted to do I did it as a home gym, and I wanted to do like at the gym. I wanted to get stronger, right? And I wanted to be able to see the muscles. I was super happy with the results because I had not been able to work out for a whole year due to an injury. So anyway, when this happened, I couldn't, I was feeling so like a failure for not being able to do it. And I gained weight, obviously. And then there were some other things that hurt me emotionally. And I was going back to my journal, going back to all the wisdom that I had collected, and nothing worked. I was like, this is a stupidity. This is another level. Like, first consciously, then I learned, and it was
no. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you there. Okay. So what you're describing to me is you had Letty here. And then this Letty wasn't the best version of Letty that she could be. So you did a whole bunch of things here, which, you know, the sign you were showing us, and you implemented a lot of strategies, and you worked hard on yourself. And so you then you became this Letty. It worked, right? You became a better version of yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
And then this Letty broke down. Is that right? You had emotional issues,
right.
physical issues, lots of things. Yeah. And
Yes.
so what you did was you went back to this thing here that had worked with this Letty, and you pulled it out and you slapped it on her, and you were like, right, bitch, let's go. Right. Yes. And this Letty went, no. We're a different Letty now. We have different emotional needs, physical needs. We're not the same Letty as we were over here. We're a different Letty. Mm-hmm. Why would you get frustrated that the things that worked on this Letty didn't work on this Letty? This Letty's a whole new person with a whole new set of challenges and emotional and physical needs. Maybe she needs something different. That makes sense?
It makes sense. Yes, it actually, it reminds me of something that my husband said, that I had to learn this. I thought that I had learned, but I had to go through this in order to get me to another version of myself.
You had learned, but the learning took you from here to here. And then the learning that'll take you from here to here is new and different and challenging. What worked before doesn't always work in the future.
What can I do to not to repeat this? What do you have any advice, like at this level, when you already know what happens, you know the data, you know that how many calories you're gonna eat, and you still do it? By the way, I continue doing the workouts, but the eating part was out of control, and I could not get out of that phase. So
why not? Why did you choose? Because everything, I guess, what I'm trying to do here with you guys is help to bring you to being at choice. So when you're saying the eating part was out of control, it assumes that something outside of yourself was controlling your behavior, when it's not true. You chose to continue indulging yourself, which is not bad, by the way. You chose to continue to comfort yourself or indulge yourself, however you want to put it. You chose the good feelings that were coming from eating the food. Why did you choose that?
It was making me feel good, but at the same time, I knew that this was not the right choice, but I felt like giving up almost. And I didn't want to.
What if it was the right choice? What if it's what you needed?
Yeah, now I see that that I had to go through that, but I wish that I hadn't, because I don't know, I felt really, really bad for about 4 months, you know. Now I feel great. I feel great because I'm like on a different path, but it took me it was really hard to get out of that phase, and I still don't know how I got out. So I don't want to repeat that. You know, my strategies, I already know them, but they don't work anymore. I need something else. What do I need?
You won't know until you go forward. The only way you'll know is by setting a goal and working to get there, and then allowing yourself to fail along the way. And then when you fail, instead of pretending you haven't failed or panicking because you failed, you slow it down, you look at the failure, and you say, what is the missing resource? Is it a physical resource? Did I not go to the gym today because I don't have new gym shoes? Did I choose to eat the chocolate because I hadn't prepped my meals? Do I keep continuing to not eat, to eat off plan because I am busy looking after my kids on a Sunday, and that's the only time that I would have to meal prep. So maybe I need to meal prep maybe I can reorganize my work days to get a half day on a Friday, and I can meal prep there. You have to allow yourself the beauty of failure. It's not the beauty. You have to allow yourself to fail in order to figure out what's the missing resource, so you can restructure things in order to continue to move forward, because failure is absolutely inevitable. But the problem is, so many of us are trying to manage our lives to not fail in advance because we're so terrified of failing, because we think that I call it catastrophizing. We catastrophize it in our head. We go, but if I fail, it means I'm going to like completely fall off the wagon. I'm going to get really fat, and then I'm just going to wallow in a big pit of like chocolate, and then I'll die. And I'm like, really? Like, honestly, is that going to happen? Like, the worst thing that can happen is you make a bad choice in the moment. You decide you're going to stay on the meal plan, you're going to do whatever, and then you make one bad choice. But one bad choice doesn't mean that, in order to completely fail, you have to make a series of bad choices continually. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what I did.
A series of bad choices continually is if you pretend that you're not making them. But if you go, oh shit, I failed. Right. I ate that big slice of chocolate cake. Interesting. Why did I do that? I don't know. I just felt like I really needed it in the moment. Okay. Am I going to continue to, am I going to eat the whole cake? Because there's another 8 slices and I definitely think I could fit them in. Yeah. Well, will that serve me? If you start to slow down the decision-making process, the only way you can fail is by not recognizing you're making a series of choices to fail. That's how you stop it from happening again. You just allow yourself the grace to fail, figure out what the missing resources is when you do fail. And sometimes it's emotional, like Laura. Laura's failure I don't know whether you were here earlier that she was talking about, but Laura's failure wasn't physical. It was, it wasn't like, oh my God, my legs are so sore and my muscles are, in such agony, I need sugar to repair them, or I'm lightheaded, my muscle, so my glycogen levels are low because I haven't eaten enough. So I need to eat to boost my glycogen levels. Because that happens to me sometimes. Like I was in the gym the other morning and I hadn't eaten, and I started to feel, I was like, I said, Ryan, I'm feeling a bit grumpy. Like I'm definitely feeling, it's harder to keep my state. And I said, I think I need some fructose for brain glycogen, for glycogen in the liver to fuel the brain. So I went in and I got a banana and I ate the banana. Within 5 minutes, I was like, I'm back to normal. It's great. So for me, I needed food. It was a physical failure because I was feeling, like I had brain fog. And so I need the physical failure. For Laura, it wasn't a physical failure. It was an emotional failure. She was feeling completely overwhelmed with grief and she wanted to comfort herself. And so she made the decision to do it in whatever way she felt would bring her the most comfort. And then she got up the next morning and she moved on. She didn't go, well, fuck it. That's it. Like, that's the time. Can cancel the photo shoot. Just can't do it anymore. Just that's it, and then like go on like a week-long binge of, she realized that that's what she needed that day. Was it a failure in terms of, moving her closer to her goal? Yes. But was it really a failure in the long term? Like, does it mean she's not going to do the photo shoot and be shredded? No, she's going to be shredded to the bone for that photo shoot.
She looks amazing. You look amazing, Laura.
Really see what she looks. She looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
So do you see what I'm saying? So Laura could have continued to make choices to completely fail and then cancel the photo shoot. And she could have even blamed her grief and said, I just can't do it. My grief is too intense. It's just not the right time for me. Rather than just saying, and maybe she could have canceled the photo shoot and just said, you know what? I thought it was important to me, but now that I've realized the physical pain I'm going to have to go through to get that lean, that I still have this pain of grief. And actually I've realized that I can't add any more pain to my life. So if you don't mind, I'm going to cancel the photo shoot and I'm going to leave it. That would have been a failure, but that would have still been a failure is where she was recognizing what she was choosing. Not, I just can't do it. It's too hard.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
Share, like, I have had those thoughts, like at times, like in this journey, I have had in that moment and other moments, like, just like, it's just too hard. Like, my life's too hard already. Like, why have I decided to do this? And I like done it, like, moaning to my boyfriend. But it's been that choice, and I've just kept choosing that it is worth it, and it is, and chosen not to use that excuse, but it has been there. Like, it's been within reach, and I've had to really make the decision not to use it.
I think sometimes as human beings as well, we take a bad feeling in the moment and we blow it up and we amp it up into, you know, well, that's it. Like, no, it's never going to work, rather than, well, I'm feeling really quite shitty now. And I feel like I want to throw in the towel, but I'm going to wait until, you know, and wait and see how I feel in the morning. Or one thing I have learned, see, from building my business and getting to where I've gotten in life. And I guess I keep using building the business as a reference point, because it has been the most complex thing I've ever done, not just in terms of creating the programs and, you know, and the funnels and the Facebook ads and, you know, the components of the business. Managing and building a team within the business has been one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do, because of how I do my business, because I work with every single individual on their limitations. And so there was a point of what I was going to say about limitations so what happens is, so quite often I feel completely, not often, but sometimes I feel completely overwhelmed, and maybe I've trained legs and my body is broken the next day, and I feel physically exhausted and I feel grumpy, and there are so many things that need my attention. I turn on my phone and my WhatsApp has 136 messages after I've been in like a 2-hour Zoom call. I'm not even kidding. And I sometimes feel completely and utterly pulled in a million different directions. And I just go, okay, one thing at a time. That person's going to have to wait. They're going to have to be disappointed. You know, I can only do what I can do. And I just realized that when I wake up in the morning after I've had some sleep and I've had some food and I've had some rest, I'm going to feel better. And you wake up in the morning, you go, oh, actually life's not so bad. And you realize it was just that moment that felt bad. But that moment doesn't have to turn into an all-encompassing car crash. You know, it's just, life is filled with portions and times when we're going to feel like shit. And I don't know where we learned that is not part of life. And I think it's honestly comes from childhood, when we used to cry and feel emotional, and our parents didn't always know how to cope with it, especially if it was emotion. Like, my daughter is 13 and she's very hormonal, and she loves to try and pick fights with me. And she's just so like, we have the best relationship ever, but she's so contrary. And I just, rather than, and it triggers me sometimes, because it doesn't make sense what she's saying. And I just want to be like, you're so frustrating. But instead of me getting triggered by her, I just recognize, oh, she's having a shitty day. She was up super early this morning with her horses. She has scoliosis and she wears a brace 24 hours a day, and it hurts in times. And so I look at her and I think she's maybe hurting. She's maybe up early. She's definitely worried about the competition this weekend. But Maya doesn't even know all these things are worrying her. She's just having a physical, emotional manifestation in her body. And so I just let her have it. And sometimes I just ignore it. And I say, okay, honey, no problem at all. But not ignore it, like ignore her, but I say, okay, sweetheart, whatever you need. Sometimes I just give her a great big hug and I say, come here, you just look like you need a hug. And I just hug her. So I think that whenever we're kids, and I'm not perfect, by the way, I've definitely been very triggered by my kids over the years, but I think that when our kids are having an outburst of something they don't know how to express, or they don't even know what it is, but it's just coming up in a big emotional, turbulent jumble, and that triggers us. And then we go, oh, well, and then we start to fight with them, or tell them they're wrong, or tell them they're bad, or get angry with them. They somehow learn that these things aren't part of life. They aren't just part of being human, because genuinely they are just part of being human. And I think if we learned that, and we certainly didn't all learn it as kids or teenagers, I think if we can learn it as adults and just recognize that it's going to happen every single day, certainly maybe not every day, every week. And if not every week, certainly every month. And all you have to do is ride it out, and wait for the state change to come. The state change always comes, and you just keep going.
Yeah, that's very true. You made me thank you, Laura, so much for sharing your story, your experience, because that really helped. One thing is that I think I didn't give time for all these things that I could not accomplish because they were out of my control, or I couldn't get the control. So I guess that it was like 4 months of feeling bad because I had not given the time to process that. So thank you so much for making me realize that. And Laura, I also, you made me think that I always question or wonder, how do athletes deal with this? Because if I was going to compete 4 months, well, I don't think I could do it, you know? So I always wonder, because you have to have a stronger mindset to be able to process this, even if you're not ready. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not even that you need a stronger mindset. I think athletes, genuinely, and Laura, you can tell me if you disagree, athletes just get used to feeling bad just as much as we feel good. In fact, I would say athletes and entrepreneurs and, you know, whatever, in my life, I can genuinely tell you that 80% of my day is super hard. And it's a real effort. And only 20% is like, you know, sweetness and light and lovely and whatever. I think that athletes get used to feeling hungry, sore, tired, emotional, ratty, all of those negative things that the rest of us spend our lives trying to avoid. And we just learn to not only accept it, but lean into it and see it just as part of the process. My body hurts every single day. Yours is probably the same, Laura, is it?
Yeah, I think for me, it's the same as like, this is my 7th shred. So it is just that you just I've done all the aspects of this shred again and again and again. But what I would say from joining the Sculpted Vegan and the work that I've done with Kim and done with the coach within our company, emotionally, I'm a very different person than what I was when I joined the company. And like what we're creating, like in the Zoom call and stuff, it is nearly like the missing puzzle piece to bodybuilding, that I have learned now this kind of ability to feel emotions, process emotions, like to have discomfort and lean into it, Kim's always helping me with the fear of failure and really diving into it. And I've been able to apply that a lot more to my shred. That's really, really helped. And I think with, again, athletes, athletes and professionals, you know, if someone was going to the Olympics, you know, you would kind of expect that they need to mentally prepare as much as they need to physically prepare. But I guess when you guys come to shred or do our programs, like you just think like, I should just have it. I should just have all the skills I need and all this. And you get really annoyed at yourself when you can't do it. And you can't stick to it perfectly straight away. Like my first bodybuilding show, I was like 22 and I was like a hot mess. It was a complete disaster. Like, and I did 5 shows back to back in like 3 years. And they were like, awful. I don't know how well I did well, but they were very messy. And now I guess now my preps are just as messy, but I don't give myself as hard a time and actually gaining more success. I think it's just really that practice of the mindset of everything that we've kind of talked about tonight, and just doing it again and again and again and again, and giving yourself the grace to do that.
Giving yourself the grace to fail and to embrace your dark side and to not hide it. Like, yes. The worst thing, honestly, you can do is to pretend that it isn't what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, do you know what I always liken it to? I'm going to leave you with this story, right? You should practice this. They're all like, oh God, what's going to come now? So whenever, I always tell the story, it's a great one. So whenever Natalie first, I don't know whether Natalie's still here. Natalie's my assistant. Whenever she first joined the company, and moved into the role of being my assistant, she came into my office one day, right? Just before she came into my office, I farted sitting at my desk. I didn't know Natalie was coming in. I thought I was slipping one out. No one was going to know. So I was sitting at my desk and I let one go and I was like, oh shit, that was a wee bit smellier than I thought it was going to be. And so just at that moment, the door walked in, right? Natalie came in to talk to me about something. She sat down and you know, whenever you're sitting there going, you can definitely smell it. Do I say that I farted? Do we pretend that it didn't happen? Do I want to admit that I just farted? Like, I'm a girl, I'm not supposed to do it. So Natalie comes into the office and I was like, Natalie, I just farted. And she went, did you? And I said, you must be able to smell it. She went, well, actually, yeah, I can, but I didn't want to say anything. And I was like, then we started, I was just like, I fucking believe you just told me that. And so we broke down and we started to laugh about it. And I always use that as an example of failure, if you like, because I could have farted and then thought, fuck, Natalie said, okay, well, I'm not going to say anything. We're going to pretend, we're going to literally sweep that fart under the carpet. She's going to sit there and endure it while we have the meeting. And I'm going to pretend that it didn't happen. And she's going to leave the room and I'm going to be here and I'm going to keep my boss pride intact, or I could just say, Natalie, I farted, and we can have a laugh about it. And it can become something that we bond over rather than something that is something, that we don't talk about. And I was telling this story to my sisters the other week and they were like, you're so weird. Like, I would never, ever do that, and I was like, but the thing is, we're all human, right? I didn't know Natalie was coming in. Like, if it was my husband, he would have crop dusted. He would have farted knowing she was coming in and made her sit in it because that would have brought him so much joy. Whereas I didn't know that she was coming in. But imagine if we just practiced being human and just going, shit, I failed. Oh my God. I farted. My assistant walked into the room. She had to sit there and endure it, and we had a laugh about it and we opened the door and it was funny. The more you can embrace your failures, and Laura will tell you, I'm like this everywhere. There's no back doors with me because I'm just totally okay with my failures. I'm totally okay with the dark side of myself, the bits that you're not supposed to tell people and show people and the bits we're supposed to hide. And when you practice as a daily practice, just letting them out, it is literally transformational. It's transformational because you become less afraid of those times when you fail. And so they have less hold over you. And then you don't go into a spiral of binge eating or drinking or all of those different things that, that once we fail, we don't want to look at. And then we pretend that it's not happening. And you go into a big spiral. Whenever you bring it out and you just say, I farted. There's, and we're here. There's nothing we can do about it. It genuinely is very, very, very liberating, I have to be honest. So
thank you so much. So many lessons you can learn from a fart. I'm a teacher. I hope I never fart in front of my students, but thank you so much because now I know
why do we have, would you ever think about it as women, why do we have so many issues around pooping and farting? And for men, it's totally normal, but women are my mom used to leave her office, which is a 15-minute drive from my house, and come here at lunchtime just to poop. What are you here for? I'm just here to use your toilet. I'm like, did they not have toilets in Minprint? Oh, I couldn't use the toilet in Minprint. What if somebody smelled it? Well, if somebody smelled it, they're going to think that you're human and that you take a crap once a day. What? Anyway, but again, it's just all this hiding these very human parts of ourselves. And we just stopped hiding these very human parts of ourselves. I guarantee you all of your lives would transform.
Thank you. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you so much.
Guys, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to take any more because we've been on for 2.25 hours, but this was so good. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We still have 162 people on, so hopefully you did enjoy it. Josephine Williams is saying home shitter. That just came up from Paradise PD on Netflix. Josephine, I'll look it up. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We are going to keep kind of doing these calls and things. We really want to grow this whole mindset side of the company. It is something which is very, very close to my heart. And to Laura's now, since she's been doing so much work with Danny, our coach. We should even get Danny on here one night, Laura. I was thinking that, or maybe into we'll try and, Danny is phenomenal. Danny like is a coach that she works with the whole company, and she is like, you think I'm good? Danny's on another level. You probably don't even think I'm good, but Danny's on another level. But we are going to keep doing these, but also on Thursday, if you guys like this, it was kind of a precursor to what's to come, except we did do a lot of, this was more of a Q&A. I'm going to be teaching an entire 4-day series on self-sabotage. Starting June 19th, and it opens on Thursday. It's going to be $97 for the 4 days, which is people are like, do you ever charge anything other than $97? I'm like, that seems to be a good price point. So if you guys want to join that, you'll get details in your inbox and also in the group. But if you don't, totally okay. You can stay in the group. We are going to do loads of free stuff as well, because I know that not everybody has the budget to keep spending money on programs. But thanks so much for being here, everybody. Laura, thank you for being here. Rachel and Natalie and anyone else who was here. I don't know who else of the team was here. Thank you guys for being here too to support. I really appreciate all of you. And guys, we'll see you all in the groups. Yeah. Okay. Sending love, everybody. I want to make sure I see everybody on all the pages waving. Bye, guys. I want to look at all the pages. See you all soon. Thanks so much for being here. Okay, bye.